The steam from the shower filled the bathroom as Simone heard Trevor's phone buzzing on the nightstand. She glanced at it, seeing message after message lighting up the screen. Her husband had been acting strange lately, coming home late, being secretive with his phone, and claiming extra business trips to Chicago. Something felt wrong. The phone buzzed again. This time she saw a name that made her stomach drop. Natasha from work, with a red heart emoji. Simone's hands shook as she picked up the phone. Trevor never put hearts next to anyone's name except hers. She swiped to open the message and her world crashed down around her. Last night was amazing, baby. I can't stop thinking about what you did to me in that hotel room. When can we meet again? I'm already wet just thinking about you. Simone's vision blurred. She scrolled up through their conversation, her heart breaking with each message she read. Photos of Natasha in lingerie. Videos she couldn't bring herself to watch. Messages talking about how Trevor was going to leave his boring wife soon. How they'd been meeting in hotel rooms for over a year during his business trips. The worst message made her sink onto the bed. I love you so much more than that woman you're married to. She's probably sitting at home like a dumb housewife while you're here with me. You deserve better than her. Trevor's response made her nauseous. I know, baby. Simone has no idea what real passion is. She's so boring in bed. You make me feel alive again. I can't wait to be free of her. Simone's hands trembled as she continued reading. They had detailed plans about their future together. They laughed about how stupid she was for not knowing. They made fun of her cooking, her appearance, her job as a graphic designer. Trevor had shared private details about their marriage, their fights, even intimate moments that should have been sacred. The shower was still running. She could hear Trevor singing, probably thinking about Natasha. Simone quickly took photos of every message, every photo, every cruel word they'd shared about her. Her heart felt like it was breaking into a million pieces, but her mind was crystal clear. She'd been married to Trevor for 8 years. She'd supported him through college, helped him get his job at the consulting firm, and believed in their future together. She'd wanted children with this man. She trusted him completely. But as she read message after message about their affair, something cold and hard settled in her chest. This wasn't just about cheating. They had actively mocked her, planned to humiliate her, and treated her like she was nothing. The messages showed they'd been meeting in Chicago every month when Trevor claimed he was there for work. The company was paying for his hotel rooms where he was having an affair. He was using company money to wine and dine his mistress while lying to his wife. One message from 3 weeks ago showed a photo of an expensive necklace. Bought this for you with the bonus money. Simone thinks I spent it on car repairs. Natasha's response, perfect. She's so gullible. I love wearing jewelry her husband bought me. Simone felt sick. That bonus was supposed to go toward their vacation fund. Trevor had looked her in the eye and lied, saying the car needed major repairs. She'd even felt bad for him, bringing him comfort food while he pretended to be stressed about the car expenses. She heard the shower turn off. Quickly, she placed the phone back exactly where she'd found it and walked to the kitchen. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the coffee mug, but she forced herself to look normal. Trevor walked out in his towel, smiling at her like nothing was wrong. Good morning, beautiful, he said, kissing her cheek. The same lips that had been telling another woman he loved her. Morning, Simone managed to say. Her voice sounded strange to her own ears, but Trevor didn't notice. He was already reaching for his phone. I have to go to Chicago again next week, he said casually, typing on his phone. Probably texting Natasha. Big client meeting. Another one? Simone asked, testing him. Yeah, you know how it is. The company really needs me to handle these important accounts. He looked at her with such sincerity that she almost believed him herself. He was a good liar. She wondered how long he'd been practicing. As Trevor got dressed for work, Simone sat at the kitchen table, staring at her coffee. 8 years of marriage. 8 years of building a life together. 8 years of love, trust, and partnership, all destroyed by what she'd read in those messages. But the hurt was already transforming into something else. Something sharper and more focused. Trevor and Natasha thought she was a weak, stupid woman who would never find out about their affair. They thought she would just sit at home like a fool while they lived their secret life. They had no idea who they were dealing with. Simone had built her graphic design business from nothing into a successful company. She'd put herself through college while working 2 jobs. She'd helped Trevor study for his exams and supported him through every challenge in his career. She wasn't weak. She wasn't stupid. And she definitely wasn't going to sit quietly while 2 people who claimed to love each other destroyed her life for their entertainment. Trevor kissed her goodbye, the same kiss he'd given her every morning for 8 years. But everything had changed now. As soon as his car left the driveway, Simone pulled out her own phone and started making a list. She had work to do. The first hour after Trevor left, Simone sat in complete silence. Her coffee got cold while she stared at the photos on her phone, evidence of a betrayal so deep it felt like drowning. Every message was a knife in her heart, but she read them all again, burning every word into her memory. She'd always prided herself on being strong, but this felt different. This wasn't just heartbreak, it was humiliation. They'd been laughing at her for over a year, making jokes about her body, her personality, her life. Trevor had shared things about their marriage that should have been private. But as the shock wore off, something else took its place. Anger. Cold, calculating anger. Simone had never been the type to plot revenge, but she'd also never been betrayed like this. The old Simone would have confronted Trevor immediately, probably crying and begging for explanations. The old Simone would have tried to work things out, gone to marriage counseling, and blamed herself for not being enough. This Simone was different. This Simone had read messages calling her a boring housewife, and too stupid to figure it out. This Simone had seen her husband mock their intimate moments with another woman. She opened her laptop and started researching. First, she looked up Trevor's company policies. As a senior consultant, he was bound by strict ethical guidelines. Using company resources for personal matters was grounds for immediate termination. Having an affair with a coworker could result in disciplinary action for both parties. Then she researched divorce law in their state. Illinois was a no-fault divorce state, but adultery could still affect property division and spousal support. Evidence of an affair could help her case significantly. Simone created a new email account that couldn't be traced back to her. She transferred all the photos from Trevor's phone to a secure cloud storage account. Every message, every photo, every piece of evidence was safely backed up in multiple locations. Next, she started documenting Trevor's recent behavior. The late nights, the mysterious phone calls, the extra business trips. She made a timeline of his lies, matching them with the messages from Natasha. The pattern was clear and damning. She called her friend Rachel, who worked in HR at a large corporation. Hypothetically, Simone said, what would happen if someone reported an affair between coworkers at your company? Hypothetically, Rachel replied, both employees would be investigated. If one of them was using company resources or time for the affair, they'd be fired immediately. What? Is everything okay? Just curious about a situation at work, Simone lied smoothly. She was getting better at lying already. After the call, Simone researched private investigators in the Chicago area. She needed more evidence, and she needed to know exactly what Trevor and Natasha were doing on these trips. The messages gave her some information, but she wanted everything documented professionally. She found a highly recommended investigator named Robert Chin who specialized in infidelity cases. His website promised discretion and thorough documentation. Simone called him immediately. I need someone followed during business trips to Chicago, she told him. I have evidence of an ongoing affair, but I need more documentation for legal purposes. I can help with that, Robert said. When is the next trip? Next week. I'll send you all the details and the evidence I already have. This looks very thorough, Robert said after she emailed him the information. You've done excellent work documenting everything. Most clients don't come this prepared. Simone felt a grim satisfaction. Trevor and Natasha thought she was too stupid to figure out their affair. They had no idea how smart and capable she really was. Next, she called a divorce attorney. She'd researched lawyers in the city and found Jennifer Martinez, who had an excellent reputation for representing women in high-conflict divorces. I'd like to schedule a consultation, Simone told the receptionist. I have evidence of adultery and I want to understand my options. The appointment was set for Friday. Trevor would be at work, thinking his wife was home designing logos and business cards, completely unaware that his world was about to change forever. Simone spent the rest of the day acting normal. She worked on client projects, did laundry, and started dinner like she had thousands of times before. But everything felt different now. She was looking at her life through new eyes, seeing all the signs she'd missed. The expensive cologne Trevor had started wearing 6 months ago. The gym membership he'd suddenly gotten, claiming he wanted to get in shape. The way he'd become protective of his phone, taking it everywhere, even to the bathroom. When Trevor came home that evening, he was in a good mood. He hugged her and asked about her day the same way he always did. Simone played her part perfectly, asking about his work and listening to his lies about upcoming projects. The Chicago client is really demanding, Trevor said over dinner. I might have to stay an extra day next week to make sure everything goes smoothly. That's too bad, Simone said sympathetically. You work so hard. She knew exactly why he wanted to stay an extra day. The messages had made it clear that he and Natasha planned to spend the weekend together at a resort outside the city. That night, as Trevor slept beside her, Simone stared at the ceiling and finalized her plan. She would gather all the evidence she needed. She would document every lie, every betrayal, every moment of their affair. She would learn everything about their relationship and use it against them. Trevor and Natasha thought they were so clever, sneaking around behind her back. They thought she was too trusting and naive to ever find out. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Simone wasn't just going to expose their affair. She was going to destroy them both, piece by piece, until they lost everything they cared about. They'd taken 8 years of her life and treated her like garbage. Now she was going to show them what real consequences looked like. As she drifted off to sleep, Simone felt something she hadn't felt in months: purpose. She had a mission now, and she was very good at completing missions. Trevor stirred beside her, probably dreaming about his next hotel room rendezvous. He had no idea that his loving, trusting wife had transformed into his worst nightmare. The game was about to begin, and Simone held all the cards. The next morning, Simone watched Trevor get ready for work with new eyes. Every move he made, every word he spoke, was now part of her investigation. She noticed how he checked his phone constantly, how he smiled at messages she couldn't see, how he hummed while getting dressed. "You seem happy today," she commented, testing him. "Just a good day ahead," Trevor replied, kissing her forehead. "Love you, babe." The words felt hollow now. She wondered if he practiced saying them, or if lying had just become second nature to him. After Trevor left, Simone drove to the city to meet with attorney Jennifer Martinez. The law office was impressive: floor-to-ceiling windows, expensive furniture, and an atmosphere that said this woman got results. Jennifer was in her 50s, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. She reviewed the evidence Simone had brought with careful attention. "This is very comprehensive," Jennifer said, scrolling through the messages on Simone's tablet. "Most clients don't come this prepared. You have clear evidence of adultery, and more importantly, you have evidence of him using marital assets and company resources for the affair." "What does that mean for me?" Simone asked. "It means you're in a very strong position. The fact that he's spending money on another woman, money that should be going to your household, works in your favor. And if his company has policies against workplace relationships or misuse of company funds, he could face serious consequences beyond just the divorce." Jennifer explained the divorce process, property division, and potential spousal support. With Trevor's infidelity documented so thoroughly, Simone would likely receive a favorable settlement. "I want to wait to file," Simone said. "I want to gather more evidence first." Jennifer raised an eyebrow. "You already have enough to win. What more do you need?" "I want everything," Simone said quietly. "I want to make sure they both face consequences for what they've done." On the drive home, Simone called Robert, the private investigator. He'd already started surveillance and had updates. "Your husband arrived in Chicago yesterday evening," Robert reported. "He went straight to the Palmer House Hotel, where he met with a blonde woman matching the description you provided. They had dinner at an expensive restaurant, then went to his hotel room. She didn't leave until this morning." "Did you get photos?" "Everything is documented. Photos, video, timestamps, location data. I also checked the hotel registration. He's paying for the room with a company credit card." "Perfect. More evidence of Trevor misusing company resources." "There's something else," Robert continued. "I looked into the woman, Natasha Brooks. She's married too. Her husband filed for divorce 3 months ago. Looks like she's been having multiple affairs." Simone felt a cold satisfaction. Trevor wasn't Natasha's only victim. She was a serial cheater who destroyed marriages for fun. Back home, Simone continued her investigation. She accessed their joint bank accounts and credit card statements, documenting every suspicious charge. Expensive dinners in Chicago that Trevor had claimed were business meetings. Hotel room charges that didn't match his supposed meeting schedules. Purchases at jewelry stores and lingerie shops. She found charges at a spa resort outside Chicago for the upcoming weekend, exactly where the messages had indicated Trevor and Natasha planned to spend their romantic getaway. Simone called the resort, pretending to be Natasha. "I wanted to confirm our reservation for this weekend," she said sweetly. "Of course, Ms. Brooks. You have the luxury suite reserved for Friday and Saturday night. The champagne and roses package has been arranged as requested. Will Mr. Henderson still be joining you?" "Henderson." Trevor was using a fake name. Simone felt sick, but she kept her voice steady. Yes, he'll be there. Thank you. More evidence. More lies. More proof that this wasn't just a simple affair, it was an elaborate deception that showed complete disrespect for their marriage. That afternoon, Simone drove to Trevor's office building. She'd been there many times for company parties and knew the layout well. She positioned herself across the street with a clear view of the parking garage exit. At 5:30, she saw Trevor leave with Natasha. They walked to his car together, laughing and touching. Natasha was tall and blonde, exactly the opposite of Simone's shorter, curvy figure. They looked comfortable together like a real couple. Simone took photos as they drove away together. More evidence for her growing file. She followed them to a restaurant downtown, staying far enough back to avoid detection. Through the restaurant window, she watched them hold hands across the table, share dessert, and act like lovers without a care in the world. Her phone buzzed with a text from Trevor, "Working late tonight. Don't wait up. Love you." Simone almost laughed at the audacity. He was sitting 20 feet away from her, on a date with his mistress, texting lies to his wife. She texted back, "Okay honey. Work hard. Love you too." The words tasted like poison, but they were necessary. She needed Trevor to believe she was still the trusting, naive wife he thought he'd married. After dinner, Trevor and Natasha went to a bar. Simone watched them dance, kiss, and act like they were the only people in the world. Every touch, every laugh, every intimate moment was another nail in the coffin of their affair. Around midnight, they returned to Trevor's car. Simone followed them to Natasha's apartment, taking photos as Trevor walked her to the door and kissed her goodnight. By the time Simone got home, it was nearly 1 a.m. Trevor's car wasn't in the driveway, yet he was probably driving around to make his story about working late seem more believable. Simone uploaded all the photos and videos to her secure cloud storage. She updated her timeline with the evening's activities, matching them against Trevor's lies. She was building an airtight case piece by piece. Every lie, every betrayal, every moment of their affair was being documented and preserved. When Trevor finally came home at 1:30 a.m., Simone pretended to be asleep. He slipped into bed quietly, probably thinking he'd gotten away with another perfect evening with his mistress. He had no idea that his wife had been watching him all night, gathering evidence that would soon destroy his entire world. Trevor fell asleep quickly, but Simone lay awake planning her next moves. The private investigator would document their weekend getaway. The attorney was preparing divorce papers. And Simone was getting ready to expose their affair to everyone who mattered. Soon, Trevor and Natasha would learn that actions have consequences. They'd played with fire for over a year, thinking they were too smart to get caught. They were about to get burned. Friday morning came with Trevor's excited energy as he packed for his business trip to Chicago. Simone watched him carefully fold his best shirts and pack cologne he never wore at home. "I'll miss you," Trevor said, kissing her goodbye. The lie rolled off his tongue so easily. "Have a good trip," Simone replied. "Don't work too hard." As soon as his car disappeared, Simone felt a strange sense of freedom. For the first time in weeks, she didn't have to pretend everything was fine. She could drop the mask and just breathe. She decided to work from her favorite coffee shop downtown instead of staying home. Being in their house felt suffocating now, filled with memories of a marriage that had been built on lies. Coffee & Co. was busy with the morning rush. Simone found a corner table and opened her laptop, trying to focus on a logo design for a new client. But her mind kept wandering to Trevor and Natasha, probably checking into their hotel right now. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" Simone looked up to see a tall man with warm brown eyes and an easy smile. He was holding a coffee and a stack of architectural drawings. "Oh no, go ahead," she said, closing her laptop slightly. She wasn't really in the mood for small talk. "Thanks. I'm Gabriel," he said, settling into the chair across from her. "I don't usually work in coffee shops, but my office is being renovated." "Simone," she replied politely. "Architect. Guilty as charged." "You." "Graphic designer." She gestured to her laptop. "Also hiding from my office today." Gabriel had an easy way about him that made conversation feel natural. He was probably in his early 30s, with kind eyes and hands that moved expressively when he talked about his current project designing a community center for underprivileged kids. "That sounds amazing," Simone said, finding herself genuinely interested despite her mood. "It's my passion project. I volunteer there sometimes, teaching kids about design and building. There's something special about watching someone discover they can create something beautiful." The way Gabriel's face lit up when he talked about helping others reminded Simone of why she'd fallen in love with design in the first place. Before marriage, before Trevor, before everything became about supporting someone else's dreams. What about you? What kind of design work do you love most? Gabriel asked. Simone hesitated. It had been so long since someone asked about her work with genuine interest. Trevor usually changed the subject when she talked about her clients or projects. I love branding for small businesses, she said slowly. Helping people tell their story through visual design. Creating something that represents who they are and what they stand for. That's beautiful, Gabriel said. You're helping people find their voice. The simple validation made Simone's chest tight. When was the last time someone had understood her work like that? They talked for 2 hours. Gabriel was easy to be around, funny, thoughtful, and genuinely interested in what she had to say. He didn't check his phone constantly or seem distracted. He listened when she spoke and asked follow-up questions that showed he was really paying attention. I should probably get some actual work done, Simone said eventually, though she didn't want the conversation to end. Me too, Gabriel agreed. But this was really nice. I don't suppose you'd want to have coffee again sometime? I mean, proper coffee, not just coincidentally working in the same place. Simone's heart skipped. She almost said yes immediately, then remembered Trevor. Technically, she was still married, even if her husband was currently in a hotel room with another woman. She started, then stopped. Why should she feel guilty? Trevor certainly didn't when he was making plans with Natasha. I'd like that, she said quietly. Gabriel smiled, and Simone felt something she hadn't felt in months: excitement about the future. They exchanged numbers, and Gabriel promised to text her about getting coffee the next week. As he packed up his drawings, Simone found herself watching the careful way he organized everything, the consideration he showed for the other customers, the genuine warmth in his goodbye. After Gabriel left, Simone sat alone with her thoughts. She felt guilty for enjoying herself while her marriage was falling apart, but she also felt something else: hope. Gabriel had reminded her that there were good people in the world. People who were honest and kind and interested in making the world better. Her phone buzzed with a text from Trevor. Miss you already, baby. Meetings are boring without you to come home to. The contrast was jarring. Trevor's lies felt especially hollow after an honest conversation with Gabriel. Simone texted back, miss you too. Hope the meetings go well. Another lie to add to the pile they'd both been building. That evening, Robert the private investigator sent his report. Photos of Trevor and Natasha checking into the resort hotel. Videos of them walking hand in hand to their suite. Documentation of the champagne and roses that had been delivered to their room. Simone looked at the photos with detachment now. The pain was still there, but it felt distant. Seeing Trevor with Natasha didn't hurt as much as it had a week ago. Instead, it felt like watching strangers. She realized she'd been mourning the loss of someone who had never really existed. The Trevor she'd fallen in love with, honest, devoted, faithful, had been an illusion. The real Trevor was the man in these photos, capable of elaborate deception and cruel betrayal. Her phone buzzed with a text from Gabriel. Thanks for the great conversation today. Looking forward to proper coffee soon. Simone smiled for the first time in weeks. Gabriel felt real in a way Trevor hadn't for a long time. Their conversation had been genuine, without hidden agendas or secret meanings. She was still going through with her plan to expose Trevor and Natasha. They deserved consequences for their actions. But for the first time since discovering the affair, Simone could see beyond the revenge to something better. Maybe there was life after Trevor. Maybe there were people in the world who would value her intelligence, appreciate her talents, and treat her with respect. Maybe Gabriel was showing her what that could look like. Simone put her phone away and opened her laptop. She had work to do, both on her revenge plan and on rebuilding her life. For the first time in a long time, both tasks felt manageable. Trevor was having his fun in Chicago, thinking he'd gotten away with another perfect weekend. He had no idea that his wife was already planning her exit from their marriage and her entrance into something much better. Monday morning arrived with Trevor returning from his business trip, full of stories about difficult clients and boring meetings. He hugged Simone tightly, playing the role of the devoted husband who'd missed his wife. How were the client meetings? Simone asked, testing him as always. Exhausting, Trevor sighed dramatically. Nothing but conference rooms and spreadsheets all weekend. I barely had time to eat. Simone nodded sympathetically, thinking about the photos Robert had sent her. Trevor and Natasha at an expensive spa, getting couples massages. Their romantic dinner overlooking the lake. The champagne breakfast delivered to their suite Sunday morning. Well, you're home now, she said, kissing his cheek. I missed you. Trevor smiled and headed upstairs to unpack. Simone heard him humming in the shower, probably reliving his weekend with Natasha. While Trevor showered, Simone made her move. She'd spent the weekend preparing for this moment. First, she called Trevor's company. She asked to speak with HR about a sensitive workplace matter. "I have information about employee misconduct that the company should be aware of," Simone told the HR director, Rebecca Johnson. "What kind of misconduct?" Rebecca asked. "An affair between two employees that's affecting workplace professionalism and involves misuse of company resources." Rebecca agreed to meet with Simone that afternoon. She sounded concerned, which was exactly what Simone had hoped for. Next, Simone called Trevor's direct supervisor, Frank Morrison. She'd met Frank several times at company parties and knew he took workplace ethics seriously. "Frank, this is Simone Henderson, Trevor's wife. I need to speak with you about something important involving Trevor and a coworker." "Is everything all right?" Frank asked. "I'd prefer to discuss this in person. It's a serious matter that affects the company." Frank agreed to meet with her after her HR appointment. Simone spent the morning organizing her evidence into professional presentations. Photos, message screenshots, timeline documents, and financial records showing misuse of company credit cards. Everything was clearly labeled and professionally formatted. She dressed carefully for her meetings, professional but not overdressed. She wanted to appear credible and serious, not like a jealous wife seeking revenge. At 2 p.m., Simone sat across from Rebecca Johnson in the HR office. Rebecca was a stern woman in her 50s who clearly didn't tolerate workplace drama. "What I'm about to show you involves my husband, Trevor Henderson, and his coworker, Natasha Brooks," Simone began. "They've been having an affair for over a year, and it's affecting their professional conduct." Rebecca's expression remained neutral as Simone presented the evidence. Photos of Trevor and Natasha together during supposed business trips. Screenshots of messages discussing their affair. Documentation of company credit card misuse for personal expenses. "This is very serious," Rebecca said after reviewing everything. "Workplace relationships aren't necessarily prohibited, but lying about business expenses and misusing company resources are fireable offenses." "There's more," Simone said. "They've been conducting their affair during work hours, using company time for personal matters. And from what I understand, Natasha is married as well." Rebecca took detailed notes. "Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We'll launch an immediate investigation." The meeting with Frank Morrison went equally well. As Trevor's supervisor, Frank was particularly concerned about the business expense fraud. Trevor submitted expense reports claiming these Chicago trips were for client meetings, Frank said, reviewing the evidence. "But these photos show he was clearly using company time and money for personal reasons." "I thought you should know," Simone said. "I believe in doing the right thing." Frank nodded approvingly. "We appreciate your honesty. This will be handled appropriately." By the time Simone got home, Trevor was back from work, completely unaware that his world was about to crumble. "How was your day?" he asked, kissing her hello. "Productive," Simone replied truthfully. That evening, Gabriel texted her, "Still on for coffee tomorrow? There's a new place I'd love to try." Simone smiled and texted back, "Looking forward to it." She was getting better at compartmentalizing. Part of her was executing a careful plan to destroy her cheating husband. Another part was excited about coffee with a kind, honest man who treated her with respect. Tuesday morning, Trevor left for work in his usual good mood. He had no idea that HR was already reviewing security footage from his office building, looking for evidence of inappropriate conduct with Natasha. Simone met Gabriel at the new coffee shop, a cozy place with local art on the walls and jazz music playing softly. Gabriel was already there when she arrived, reading a book about sustainable architecture. "You're early," Simone said, sliding into the booth across from him. "I was excited," Gabriel admitted with a smile. "I've been looking forward to this all week." They talked easily about their work, their interests, and their dreams. Gabriel asked thoughtful questions about her business and seemed genuinely impressed by her success. "You built your company from nothing?" he asked. "That's incredible." "It wasn't easy," Simone said. "But I love helping people tell their stories through design." "You must be very talented. And very determined." The simple praise made Simone feel warm inside. Trevor rarely acknowledged her professional achievements anymore. "What about you?" Simone asked. "What made you want to be an architect?" Gabriel's eyes lit up. "I grew up in a rough neighborhood. The buildings were falling apart, and there weren't many safe places for kids to go. I promised myself I'd design spaces that make people feel hopeful. His passion was infectious. Simone found herself leaning forward, captivated by his stories about community projects and volunteer work. "You're changing the world," she said softly. "We all are in our own ways," Gabriel replied. "Your work helps businesses succeed, which creates jobs and supports families. That matters." It had been so long since someone saw value in what she did. Trevor treated her work like a hobby, something to keep her busy while he focused on his real career. They spent 3 hours talking, and Simone never wanted it to end. Gabriel was everything Trevor wasn't: present, attentive, and genuinely interested in her thoughts and feelings. When they finally parted ways, Gabriel touched her arm gently. "I really enjoyed this, Simone. You're remarkable." Driving home, Simone felt lighter than she had in months. Gabriel saw her as she really was: intelligent, talented, and worth listening to. It was a reminder of who she'd been before Trevor started making her feel small and invisible. Her phone rang as she pulled into her driveway. It was Rebecca from HR. "Mrs. Henderson? We've completed our preliminary investigation. Both employees have been suspended pending a full review. Thank you again for bringing this to our attention." Simone felt a surge of satisfaction. Trevor was probably sitting in a conference room right now, trying to explain why he'd been lying about business expenses and conducting an affair on company time. She wondered if he was thinking about his boring, stupid wife now. When Trevor came home that evening, his mood was very different. He looked shaken and pale. "How was work?" Simone asked innocently. "Fine," Trevor said shortly. "Just a long day." He didn't mention being suspended. He didn't mention the investigation. He was still lying even when his world was falling apart. Simone felt no sympathy for him. He'd made his choices, and now he was facing the consequences. The first domino had fallen. Soon they all would follow. Trevor's suspension from work lasted 3 days, during which he claimed to be sick with the flu. He stayed home, pacing the house and making hushed phone calls that he thought Simone couldn't hear. From the bathroom, Simone listened to him frantically talking to someone, probably Natasha, about lawyers and company policies. His voice had lost its usual confidence. "I don't know how they found out," Trevor whispered into his phone. "Someone must have reported us." Simone almost smiled. Trevor still had no idea that his boring, stupid wife was the one who'd brought down his perfect little affair. On Thursday, Gabriel texted her, "I know this might be forward, but would you like to have dinner Friday? There's an art gallery opening downtown with an artist I think you'd love." Simone stared at the message for a long time. Going to dinner felt like crossing a line, even though Trevor had obliterated every line in their marriage months ago. But then she thought about the messages she'd read, the cruel things Trevor and Natasha had said about her. They treated her like she was nothing. Maybe it was time to remember that she was something. "I'd love to," she texted back. Friday evening, Simone dressed carefully in a black dress that made her feel confident and beautiful. She told Trevor she was meeting Rachel for dinner, another lie to add to the mountain they'd both built. Gabriel was waiting outside the gallery, looking handsome in a dark blue shirt that brought out his eyes. When he saw her, his face lit up with genuine appreciation. "You look beautiful," he said, and Simone could tell he meant it. The gallery was filled with vibrant paintings that seemed to pulse with life and energy. Gabriel walked with her through the exhibits, sharing insights about composition and color that showed his artistic training. "This one reminds me of your design work," Gabriel said, stopping in front of a painting that combined bold graphics with flowing organic shapes. Strong and elegant at the same time. Simone felt her cheeks flush. "You barely know my work." "I looked up your portfolio online," Gabriel admitted. "I hope that's not too creepy. I was curious about the talented woman I'd met." The fact that Gabriel had taken time to learn about her work made Simone's heart skip. Trevor had never even looked at her portfolio despite living with her for 8 years. They moved through the gallery slowly, discussing each piece with the kind of attention Simone hadn't experienced in years. Gabriel listened to her opinions and asked thoughtful questions that showed he valued her perspective. "You have an amazing eye for design," Gabriel said as they stopped in front of a sculpture. "I can see why you're successful." At dinner, their conversation flowed easily from art to travel to dreams for the future. Gabriel talked about his plans to start his own firm focused on affordable housing. Simone shared her secret desire to write a book about branding for small businesses. "You should write it," Gabriel said firmly. "You obviously have the expertise and you express yourself beautifully." "Trevor thinks it's a waste of time," Simone said, then immediately regretted bringing up her husband. Gabriel's expression grew serious. "Why would he think that? Supporting your dreams should be his priority." Simone looked down at her wine glass. He has his own career to focus on. That's not an excuse, Gabriel said gently. The right person will celebrate your success, not dismiss it. The conversation moved to lighter topics, but Gabriel's words stayed with Simone. She'd forgotten what it felt like to have someone believe in her dreams. After dinner they walked through the downtown district, talking and laughing under the streetlights. Gabriel was easy to be with, no games, no hidden agendas, just honest conversation with someone who seemed to genuinely enjoy her company. Thank you for tonight, Simone said when they reached her car. I haven't felt this relaxed in months. Gabriel stepped closer, and for a moment Simone thought he might kiss her. Instead, he touched her hand gently. You deserve to feel relaxed and happy all the time, he said. I hope you know that. Driving home, Simone felt like she was floating. The evening had reminded her of who she was before Trevor started making her feel inadequate. Gabriel saw her as intelligent, talented, and worthy of attention. Trevor was asleep when she got home or pretending to be. He didn't ask about her evening with Rachel, which was just as well since Simone was glowing with happiness that would have been hard to explain. Saturday morning brought news that made Trevor's mood even darker. He got a call from work informing him that his suspension was extended pending further investigation. This is ridiculous, Trevor muttered, pacing the kitchen. It's just workplace gossip blown out of proportion. Simone made sympathetic noises while internally celebrating. Trevor's perfect career was crumbling just like he deserved. Gabriel texted her that afternoon, I can't stop thinking about last night. You're amazing, Simone. The message made her smile in a way she hadn't smiled in months. Gabriel's attention felt like sunshine after months of living in shadow. Over the next week, Gabriel and Simone texted regularly. He sent her photos of architecture that inspired him, articles about design trends he thought she'd find interesting, and thoughtful messages about their conversations. Unlike Trevor's superficial texts, Gabriel's messages showed he was really thinking about her. He remembered details from their talks and followed up on things she'd mentioned caring about. Wednesday evening, Gabriel called her while Trevor was out supposedly looking for a new job. I know this is crazy, Gabriel said, but I feel like I've been waiting my whole life to meet someone like you. Simone's heart pounded. Gabriel? I know you're married, he said quickly. I'm not trying to complicate your life. I just wanted you to know that spending time with you has been the best part of my week. After they hung up, Simone sat in her kitchen thinking about the choices in front of her. Trevor had destroyed their marriage with his lies and betrayal. He'd shown her exactly how little he valued her. Gabriel was showing her what it felt like to be appreciated, respected, and admired. He saw her potential and encouraged her dreams. Simone realized she wasn't just planning Trevor's downfall anymore. She was planning her own rise. She was remembering who she could be with the right person supporting her. Her phone buzzed with another message from Gabriel. Sweet dreams, beautiful. Talk tomorrow? Simone typed back, I'd love that. For the first time since discovering Trevor's affair, Simone fell asleep smiling. Tomorrow would bring more steps in her plan to expose Trevor and Natasha, but it would also bring another conversation with Gabriel. She was building something new while tearing down something broken. And for the first time in years, the future looked bright. 2 weeks after Trevor's suspension began, Simone received the call she'd been waiting for. Rebecca from HR informed her that both Trevor and Natasha had been terminated for gross misconduct, misuse of company resources, and violation of workplace ethics policies. The investigation revealed extensive abuse of company credit cards and falsification of expense reports, Rebecca explained. The company is also pursuing legal action to recover the fraudulent expenses. Simone thanked Rebecca for the update, then sat in her kitchen processing the news. Trevor had just lost his 6-figure job and would likely face criminal charges for fraud. The first phase of her plan was complete. She called Jennifer Martinez, her attorney, to set the next phase in motion. It's time to file for divorce, Simone told her. And I want to freeze our joint accounts before Trevor realizes what's happening. I can have the papers ready by tomorrow, Jennifer said. And yes, we can freeze the accounts immediately. Given his recent termination and the fraud investigation, a judge will likely grant temporary financial protections. That afternoon, while Trevor was out supposedly networking for new job opportunities, Simone transferred half of their joint savings into a separate account in her name only. According to her attorney, she was entitled to protect marital assets, especially given Trevor's recent financial misconduct. She also gathered all the financial documents she'd need for the divorce proceedings. Bank statements, tax returns, property deeds, investment portfolios, everything carefully organized and copied. Gabriel called that evening while Trevor was locked in his home office, presumably updating his resume. "How are you doing?" Gabriel asked, his voice warm with concern. "You sounded stressed in your text earlier." Simone had told Gabriel that she was dealing with some difficult personal situations, though she hadn't revealed the full truth about her marriage yet. "It's been a challenging day," Simone said carefully. "But I think things are about to get better." "I hope so. You deserve happiness, Simone. I wish I could do something to help." Gabriel's kindness made Simone's chest tight with emotion. Here was someone who cared about her well-being without any agenda or expectation. "Just talking to you helps," she said honestly. They talked for an hour about Gabriel's work, Simone's latest design projects, and their shared love of art museums. Gabriel had a way of making even ordinary topics feel interesting and important. "I've been thinking," Gabriel said near the end of their call. "When your personal situation stabilizes, I'd love to take you to this architecture lecture series I attend. I think you'd find it fascinating." "I'd like that very much," Simone said, already imagining a future where she could openly spend time with Gabriel without feeling guilty. Thursday morning brought the moment Simone had been planning for weeks. While Trevor showered, she placed the divorce papers on the kitchen table along with a restraining order that prohibited him from accessing their joint accounts or contacting her at work. She left the house early before Trevor came downstairs. She didn't want to be there for his reaction. At 10 a.m., Simone's phone exploded with calls and texts from Trevor. "What the hell is this, Simone? Call me back right now. You can't just freeze our accounts. That's my money too. We need to talk about this. Don't do anything stupid." Simone ignored all of them. Her attorney had advised her not to communicate directly with Trevor during the initial filing period. Instead, she focused on work, meeting with clients and designing a rebranding package for a local nonprofit. It felt good to concentrate on creative work while Trevor's world collapsed around him. That afternoon, Jennifer called with an update. "Trevor's attorney contacted us," Jennifer said. "Apparently he wants to negotiate. He's claiming the affair was a temporary mistake and he wants to work things out." "Absolutely not," Simone said firmly. "I want the divorce to proceed as planned." "I thought you'd say that." "I also have news about the financial investigation. The company is pursuing criminal charges against Trevor for embezzlement. He could face serious jail time." Simone felt a surge of satisfaction. Trevor had thought he was so clever, using company money to fund his affair. Now he was going to pay for it literally and figuratively. Gabriel texted her that evening, "Thinking of you today. Hope things are looking up." Simone replied, "Much better. Thank you for being such a good friend." It was an understatement. Gabriel had become an anchor of normalcy and kindness during one of the most difficult periods of her life. Friday brought more fallout from Trevor's termination. Word had spread through his professional network, and several people called Simone to express concern or ask what had happened. Trevor's mother called, crying and begging Simone to reconsider the divorce. "He made a mistake," Mrs. Henderson pleaded. "Everyone deserves a second chance." "This wasn't a mistake," Simone said calmly. "This was a deliberate choice he made every day for over a year. He had a second chance every morning when he woke up next to me and chose to continue lying." "But you love each other?" "No," Simone said firmly. "People who love each other don't lie, cheat, and steal. Trevor chose someone else over our marriage. Now he has to live with that choice." By the end of the week, Trevor had been forced to move out of their house and into a cheap apartment across town. The restraining order prevented him from contacting Simone directly, and their only communication went through their attorneys. Simone spent her first weekend alone in the house since discovering the affair. Instead of feeling lonely, she felt liberated. No more pretending everything was fine. No more walking on eggshells around Trevor's moods. No more lying awake wondering who he was really thinking about. Gabriel called Saturday evening. "I know you're going through a tough time," he said. "Would you like some company? I could bring takeout and we could watch a movie or just talk." Simone hesitated for only a moment. "I'd love that." Gabriel arrived with Thai food and a warm smile. Sitting on her couch, sharing pad Thai and talking about everything except her disintegrating marriage, Simone felt more at peace than she had in months. "You seem lighter tonight," Gabriel observed. "More like yourself." "I'm starting to remember who I am," Simone said. "It's been a while." Gabriel reached over and squeezed her hand. "I'm glad. The woman I've gotten to know these past few weeks is pretty amazing." For the first time since her world turned upside down, Simone could see a path forward that didn't involve revenge or pain. Gabriel was showing her what healthy relationships looked like based on respect, honesty, and genuine care for each other's well-being. Trevor had destroyed their marriage, but he'd also freed her to find something better. She was beginning to think that might be the best revenge of all. Trevor finally cornered Simone on a Tuesday morning, waiting by her car in the parking lot of her favorite coffee shop. The restraining order only prohibited him from coming to their house and her office, and he'd apparently found a loophole. "We need to talk," Trevor said, looking haggard and desperate. He'd lost weight and his usually perfect appearance was disheveled. "We have nothing to discuss," Simone replied, unlocking her car. "Everything goes through our lawyers." "Simone, please." Trevor grabbed her arm gently. "I know I screwed up, but we can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll do whatever it takes." Simone looked at his hand on her arm, then met his eyes with a cold stare. "Let go of me." Trevor released her immediately but didn't step back. "I love you, Simone. What happened with Natasha? It didn't mean anything. She was just..." "Just what?" Simone interrupted. "Just someone you told you loved? Just someone you planned a future with? Just someone you spent over a year lying to me about?" Trevor's face crumpled. "You know about everything?" "I know about the messages, the photos, the hotel rooms, the company credit cards, the fake business trips, the jewelry you bought her with our money, the way you both laughed about how stupid I was." Simone's voice was steady and cold. "I know everything, Trevor." "How long have you known?" Trevor asked weakly. "Long enough to document all of it. Long enough to make sure you face consequences for what you've done." Trevor's eyes widened as understanding dawned. "You're the one who reported us to HR." "I'm the one who told the truth about what you were doing," Simone corrected. "You destroyed your own career when you decided to steal from your company to fund your affair." "Simone, I'm sorry. I know I hurt you, but please don't destroy my entire life over this." The audacity of his request took Simone's breath away. "You destroyed your own life, Trevor. I just made sure you couldn't hide from the consequences anymore." "What about Natasha?" Trevor asked desperately. "She lost her job too. Her husband left her. She has nothing now." Simone felt a cold satisfaction. "Good. She made her choices too. How can you be so cruel?" Trevor demanded, his desperation turning to anger. "This isn't like you, Simone. You're not a vindictive person." "You're right," Simone said calmly. The old Simone wasn't vindictive. But the old Simone also trusted her husband and believed in her marriage. "You killed that woman when you decided to betray everything we built together." Trevor ran his hands through his hair frantically. "What do you want from me?" "I'll do anything. I'll sign a postnup, I'll give you whatever you want in the divorce, I'll go to therapy." "I want you to leave me alone," Simone said firmly. "I want you to sign the divorce papers and move on with your life. Preferably far away from me." "But I love you," Trevor said, tears forming in his eyes. "I made a mistake, but I never stopped loving you." Simone almost laughed. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have spent a year mocking me with another woman. If you loved me, you wouldn't have stolen money that was supposed to be for our future. If you loved me, you wouldn't have looked me in the eye every day and lied." "I was confused," Trevor protested. "Natasha made me feel." "I don't care what she made you feel," Simone interrupted. "You made a choice. Every text message, every hotel room, every lie, those were all choices. And now you get to live with the consequences." Trevor's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his face went even paler. "What is it?" Simone asked, curious despite herself. "Criminal court date," Trevor said quietly. "The fraud charges." Simone felt no sympathy. "You stole company money, Trevor. What did you think would happen?" "I could go to jail," Trevor said, looking lost. "You should have thought about that before you committed crimes to fund your affair." Trevor looked at her with something like fear. "When did you become so cold?" "I became smart," Simone replied. "I learned to protect myself from people who would use and betray me. You taught me that lesson." A car pulled into the parking space next to them. Gabriel got out, carrying 2 coffee cups and a bag from the bakery inside. "Simone," Gabriel said, taking in the tense scene. "Is everything okay?" Trevor looked between Simone and Gabriel with growing understanding. "Who is this?" "A friend," Simone said simply. Gabriel stepped closer, his presence reassuring and protective without being aggressive. "I'm Gabriel," he said to Trevor with polite but unmistakable firmness. Trevor's eyes narrowed. "How long has this been going on?" "There's nothing going on," Simone said. "Gabriel is a friend who treats me with respect and kindness. I realize that might be hard for you to understand." So you're replacing me already? Trevor asked bitterly. I'm not replacing you, Simone said. I'm moving on from you. There's a difference. Gabriel handed Simone one of the coffee cups. Your usual, he said with a gentle smile that somehow conveyed both support and a clear message to Trevor that Simone wasn't alone. Trevor watched the interaction with obvious pain. Simone, please. Can we just talk privately? 5 minutes? We just did, Simone said, getting into her car. Sign the divorce papers, Trevor. It's over. As she drove away, Simone saw Trevor standing alone in the parking lot, looking like a man who'd finally realized he'd lost everything that mattered. Gabriel followed her to a quieter parking lot a few blocks away, where they sat in their cars and talked through the open windows. Was that your husband? Gabriel asked gently. Soon-to-be ex-husband, Simone confirmed. That was Trevor. Gabriel studied her face carefully. Are you okay? You seem shaken. I'm fine, Simone said and realized she meant it. Actually, I'm better than fine. Seeing him today reminded me of why I'm leaving him. Do you want to talk about it? Simone looked at Gabriel's concerned face and felt a wave of gratitude for his presence in her life. Maybe someday. But right now, I just want to focus on moving forward. Gabriel smiled. I can help with that if you want. I'd like that very much, Simone said. As they drove away in their separate cars, Simone felt like she'd closed a chapter of her life. Trevor could beg and plead and make promises, but she'd seen who he really was. She'd read his messages, seen his photos, and heard his lies. But more importantly, she'd met Gabriel and remembered who she could be with someone who actually valued her. The confrontation was over. Now the real healing could begin. 3 months later, Simone sat in her attorney's office reviewing the final divorce settlement. Trevor had signed everything without contest, probably hoping that cooperation might help with his upcoming criminal trial. He's agreed to all our terms, Jennifer Martinez said, reviewing the documents. You get the house, your business assets remain separate, and he's responsible for all the fraudulent debts from his affair. What about spousal support? Simone asked. Given his criminal charges and current unemployment, the judge waived any support obligations. In fact, Trevor will likely owe you money once the criminal restitution is calculated. Simone nodded, satisfied. Trevor would spend years paying back the money he'd stolen, both to the company and to their marriage. There's something else, Jennifer said carefully. I've been contacted by a business broker about an interesting opportunity. What kind of opportunity? Trevor's former company is going up for sale. The fraud scandal damaged their reputation, and the owners want to sell quickly. The broker thought you might be interested, given your business background and personal connection to the situation. Simone raised an eyebrow. They want me to buy Trevor's company? The consulting firm where he worked. It's a good company with solid clients. The problems were specifically with Trevor and Natasha's misconduct. With new management and a clean reputation, it could be very profitable. The irony was delicious. Trevor had destroyed his career and his company's reputation with his affair. Now Simone could buy the pieces and rebuild something better. What would it cost? Simone asked. Jennifer slid a folder across the desk. Less than you'd think. The owners are motivated to sell quickly. And with your graphic design business's success, you could easily qualify for the financing. Simone studied the numbers. Her design company had grown significantly over the past few months, fueled by her renewed focus and energy. Several major clients had come from referrals, impressed by her professionalism and creativity. I want to do it, Simone said suddenly. Are you sure? It's a big expansion from graphic design to business consulting. I have an MBA, Simone reminded her attorney. I put my career on hold to support Trevor's, but I'm fully qualified to run a consulting firm. Maybe more qualified than he ever was. Jennifer smiled. I'll make the call. That evening, Simone met Gabriel for dinner at their favorite restaurant. Over the past months, their friendship had deepened into something more, though they'd taken things slowly while Simone's divorce was finalized. You look like someone with exciting news, Gabriel said, studying her face across the table. I might be buying a business, Simone said, then explained the opportunity to purchase Trevor's former company. Gabriel's eyes widened. That's incredible. And perfectly ironic. I know. Trevor destroyed his career with his affair, and now I get to build something better from the wreckage. You'll be amazing at it, Gabriel said with complete confidence. You're one of the smartest, most capable people I know. Gabriel's faith in her abilities never ceased to amaze Simone. He saw her potential and encouraged her ambitions in ways Trevor never had. There's more, Simone said, reaching across the table for Gabriel's hand. If I buy the company, I'll need to hire new staff. I was hoping you might consider joining me. As an architect? As a business partner. Your project management skills are excellent, and you understand client relations. Plus, I trust you completely. Gabriel squeezed her hand. I'd love to work with you, Simone. In business and in life. The next week moved quickly. Simone's offer on the consulting firm was accepted, and she began the process of due diligence and financing. Gabriel gave notice at his current firm and started planning their transition. Trevor, meanwhile, had been sentenced to 2 years in prison for embezzlement and fraud. Natasha had received probation and community service, but both their careers in consulting were over. The day before the business purchase was finalized, Simone received an unexpected visitor at her office. Natasha Brooks stood in her reception area, looking desperate and defeated. I need to talk to you, Natasha said when Simone reluctantly agreed to see her. You have 5 minutes, Simone said coldly. Natasha looked nothing like the confident woman from the photos Trevor had shared. She'd lost weight, her hair was unkempt, and her clothes looked cheap and ill-fitting. I know you hate me, Natasha began. And you have every right to. But I wanted you to know that I'm sorry. Sorry for what exactly? Simone asked. Sorry for the affair? Sorry for mocking me? Sorry for helping Trevor steal money? Or sorry that you got caught? Natasha flinched. All of it. I was selfish and cruel, and I destroyed 3 marriages, yours, mine, and the relationship Trevor and I had. You didn't destroy my marriage, Simone corrected. You helped reveal what it really was. For that, I'm almost grateful. I heard you're buying Trevor's old company, Natasha said quietly. I am. Are you doing it for revenge? Simone considered the question seriously. I'm doing it because I'm good at business and I saw an opportunity. The fact that it's poetic justice is just a bonus. Natasha nodded miserably. I don't suppose, if you need employees? No, Simone said firmly. I don't work with people I can't trust. After Natasha left, Simone felt a moment of sympathy for the woman who'd helped destroy her marriage. Natasha had lost everything: her job, her marriage, her reputation for an affair that had ultimately meant nothing. But the sympathy passed quickly. Natasha had made her choices just like Trevor had made his. They both thought they were clever enough to avoid consequences. They'd been wrong. The final paperwork for the business purchase was signed on a Friday afternoon. Simone walked through the offices that had once employed her cheating husband, now legally owned by her. She found Trevor's old office and stood in the doorway, remembering all the times she'd brought him lunch or stopped by for quick visits. He'd probably met with Natasha in this very room, planning their deception. Gabriel appeared beside her, carrying a bottle of champagne. How does it feel to be a business owner? Empowering, Simone said honestly. Like justice. They walked to the conference room with the best view of the city. Gabriel opened the champagne while Simone looked out at the skyline, thinking about how much her life had changed. To new beginnings, Gabriel said, raising his glass. To getting exactly what we deserve, Simone replied. As they clinked glasses, Simone's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. She glanced at it and saw a message from Trevor's prison account. I heard about the company. Congratulations. You always were smarter than me. Simone showed the message to Gabriel, who raised an eyebrow. Are you going to respond? He asked. Simone deleted the message without replying. I have better things to do than talk to my past. Gabriel smiled and pulled her closer. I love your priorities. Standing in the office that had once represented Trevor's success, now owned by the woman he'd betrayed, Simone felt a deep satisfaction. This wasn't just revenge, it was rebirth. Trevor had underestimated her intelligence, her strength, and her capacity for both forgiveness and justice. He thought she was too weak to fight back and too boring to find something better. He'd been wrong about everything. 6 months later, Simone stood in front of the full-length mirror in her new downtown loft, adjusting the emerald green dress Gabriel had helped her pick out for the Business Women's Association Gala. She was being honored as Entrepreneur of the Year for turning around the struggling consulting firm. You look stunning, Gabriel said from the doorway, already dressed in his tuxedo. Ready to celebrate your success? Almost, Simone said, fastening the diamond earrings she'd bought herself with the profits from her first quarter as business owner. I still can't believe how much has changed. The transformation had been remarkable. Simone had rebranded the consulting firm as Phoenix Business Solutions, symbolizing its rise from the ashes of scandal. She'd hired ethical, talented employees and rebuilt the client base through hard work and genuine expertise. Gabriel had joined as director of operations, bringing his project management skills and natural leadership abilities to help grow the company. Working together had strengthened their relationship in ways Simone hadn't expected. "The car's here," Gabriel said, offering his arm. "Your chariot awaits, Ms. Entrepreneur of the Year." The gala was held at the city's most prestigious hotel, filled with successful businesspeople and community leaders. Simone moved through the crowd with confidence, networking and accepting congratulations on her rapid success. "Simone." Rachel approached with a huge smile. "I saw the article about you in Business Monthly. I'm so proud of you." "Thank you," Simone said, hugging her friend. "It's been quite a journey." "And Gabriel seems wonderful," Rachel added quietly. "He looks at you like you hung the moon." Simone glanced across the room where Gabriel was talking with potential clients, his eyes occasionally finding hers and lighting up with unmistakable affection. "He's pretty amazing," Simone agreed. "He sees the best in me and helps me see it too." During dinner, Simone was called to the stage to accept her award. Standing at the podium, looking out at the supportive crowd, she felt overwhelmed with gratitude for how far she'd come. "A year ago, I thought my life was falling apart," Simone began her acceptance speech. "I discovered that everything I'd believed about my marriage and my future was built on lies. But sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best opportunities." The audience listened intently as Simone talked about rebuilding her business and her life from the ground up. "I learned that we teach people how to treat us by what we're willing to accept. When we demand respect, honesty, and genuine partnership, amazing things become possible." She caught Gabriel's eye in the audience and smiled. "Success isn't just about profit margins or business growth. It's about surrounding yourself with people who celebrate your victories and support your dreams. It's about building something meaningful with integrity and purpose." The applause was thunderous. As Simone returned to her table, Gabriel stood to kiss her cheek. "Beautiful speech," he whispered. "And absolutely true." Later that evening they walked along the riverfront, enjoying the cool night air and the glow of the city lights. "I have something to tell you," Gabriel said as they paused at their favorite spot overlooking the water. "Good something or bad something?" Simone asked playfully. "Good something. Great something actually." Gabriel turned to face her, taking her hands in his. "I love you, Simone. I've loved you for months, but I wanted to wait until you were completely free from your past before I said it." Simone's heart soared. "I love you too, Gabriel. You saved me in ways you'll never fully understand." "We saved each other," Gabriel corrected, pulling her closer. "You reminded me what real partnership looks like." As they kissed under the starlight, Simone thought about the journey that had brought her to this moment. Trevor's betrayal had nearly destroyed her, but it had also freed her to find something infinitely better. The next morning, Simone woke up in Gabriel's arms in their shared loft, feeling more content than she'd ever been. Her phone buzzed with a news notification and she glanced at it out of habit. The headline made her smile. "Former business executive released early from prison, struggles to find employment." The article detailed Trevor's release after serving 18 months of his 2-year sentence. It mentioned his difficulty finding work with a criminal record and his current job at a local grocery store. "What's got you smiling?" Gabriel asked sleepily. "Just karma," Simone said, showing him the article. Gabriel read it and shook his head. "Do you feel sorry for him?" Simone considered the question seriously. "I feel sorry for the man I thought I married. But the real Trevor? He's getting exactly what he deserves." "No regrets about any of it?" "Only one," Simone said, snuggling closer to Gabriel. "I regret not realizing sooner how much better I deserved." Gabriel laughed. "Well, you know now." That afternoon, while reviewing quarterly reports in her office, Simone received a call from her receptionist. "There's a Trevor Henderson here to see you," the young woman said uncertainly. "He says it's personal." Simone sighed. She'd known this moment would come eventually. "Send him in," she said. "But leave the door open." Trevor walked into the office that had once been his supervisor's, looking thin and tired. He wore a cheap suit that didn't fit properly, and his confidence was completely gone. "Hello, Simone," he said quietly. "Trevor." Simone didn't get up from her desk. "What can I do for you?" "I wanted to congratulate you on your success," Trevor said, looking around the renovated office. "You've done amazing things with this place." "Thank you." Trevor shifted uncomfortably. "I also wanted to apologize. Really apologize for everything I did to you. You didn't deserve any of it." No, I didn't, Simone agreed calmly. I was hoping. Trevor started, then stopped. I was hoping you might consider giving me a chance to work here. I know it's a lot to ask, but I have experience in this field, and I promise I've learned from my mistakes. Simone looked at her ex-husband with genuine pity. Trevor, even if I could forgive what you did to me personally, I could never trust you professionally. You committed fraud and embezzlement. You lied to clients and colleagues. You're not the kind of person I want representing my company. Trevor nodded sadly. I understand. It was worth asking. How is Natasha? Simone asked, curious despite herself. I don't know, Trevor said. We haven't spoken since the trial. Turns out our great love story wasn't so great when we both lost everything. Funny how that works, Simone said dryly. Trevor looked at her for a long moment. You look happy, Simone. Really happy. I'm glad. I am happy, Simone confirmed. Happier than I've ever been. With the architect? With Gabriel, yes. And with my life in general. Trevor nodded. He's a lucky man. I'm the lucky one, Simone corrected. Gabriel treats me the way I should have been treated all along. After Trevor left, Simone sat in her office thinking about the conversation. She felt no anger toward him anymore, just a kind of distant sadness for the choices he'd made. Gabriel arrived at 5 to pick her up for dinner, and found her staring thoughtfully out the window. Penny for your thoughts? He said, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Trevor stopped by today, Simone said, leaning back against Gabriel's chest. How was that? Pathetic, honestly. He asked for a job. Gabriel's arms tightened slightly. Are you considering it? Not for a second, Simone said firmly. I meant what I said in my speech last night. We teach people how to treat us by what we're willing to accept. I'm done accepting less than I deserve. Gabriel turned her around to face him. And what do you deserve? Everything, Simone said with a smile. Love, respect, partnership, honesty, and someone who celebrates my success instead of trying to diminish it. Lucky for me, that's exactly what I want to give you, Gabriel said, kissing her softly. As they left the office together, Simone looked back one last time at the company she'd built from the ashes of betrayal. Trevor had tried to destroy her, but instead he'd freed her to become everything she was meant to be. The revenge was complete, but more importantly, the healing was complete too. Simone had her life back, better than it had ever been before. And she was just getting started.